Welcome to Lay It On Me, a space where we come together to explore all of life's moments. I'm Claire, and I'm here to listen, share what I can, and most of all, hold space for you. This is a place to lay down whatever's on your heart. No judgment, just honesty, love, and connection. Whether it's something big or small, light or heavy, lay it on me, and let's see where we end up together. Hello to the very first official episode of Lay It On Me. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for being here. If you don't know where you are, welcome. There is a quick little intro video from earlier if you want to check it out and see what you're in for before we get started. But I trust that if you clicked on this, you know where you're at. And thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to dive into some of these incredible ideas and questions and topics that I have been sent over the past couple weeks. Wow. Oh boy, we dropped the microphone. Okay, so if you're watching on video, you'll see that this is a different space than the first two. I'll probably have a few different spaces as we continue to figure out this recording setup, and also as the seasons change, if I can film outside or oh man, I don't know if that was recording. Okay, we're gonna check. Okay, thankfully it was recording, but let's see where we're at. So yes, if you're watching this on video, I am in a different space. The last space was my living room. This is the garage, which also just looks like a living room with a lot of extra stuff. Okay, Claire, what are we doing? I am so excited for this first official episode of Lay It On Me, where I get to dive into some really fun topics, questions, and different ideas that you all sent me over the past couple weeks. Please keep them coming. I'm not going to get to everything that I already have today. Thankfully for me, a little more content can be made, but please keep them coming. Oh my gosh, I am just thrilled with the response that I have been getting. I'm so grateful to everyone that has reached out and either sent an idea or a thought or a question or expressed interest in wanting to share on this podcast. I will be having guests eventually. A few people have expressed interest in wanting to come on the podcast. Like before it even existed, I'm just, my heart is so full and I'm so excited, and I do want to have guests. I am working out my own tech kinks before we do that, but I also am planning, all the other podcasts are not going to be just me ever. So that setup is coming, and if I know and love you and you are in my life already, then stay tuned, and I hope to have you in this space or one of any other spaces I choose to record in, or we'll figure it out. I'm figuring it out now, and gosh, I am just so excited that people want to be a part of this. Let me just get right into this thought. It felt really scary to try and start this podcast needing other people to contribute. I could sit here and chat all day, and if you know me, you know that is true. But I'm saying it again. I've said it a million times. I'll say it a million more. I really want this to be an interactive space and an interactive conversation, a real conversation, even if it's just my voice on this microphone for the next 45 minutes. It's not just me, and I really can't make this what I dream of without you and without everyone that has sent their ideas and their thoughts and just expressed interest in being a part of this. It means so much to me. Oh my gosh, I'm just so excited, and I'm so excited that we're finally here. I'm finally going. We're going. I can't wait, and I am excited to build some momentum. I'm a little bit scared because I tend to get ahead of myself, and I tend to bite off more than I know I can chew. And eventually I learn, and I figure it out, and I make it happen. I have a good track record for making things happen. But it's scary to do a new thing, and it's nerve-wracking to add in this bigger project to my life, which feels very full in the most beautiful way. But that means that I have had to really be disciplined and honest with myself about what I can get done and what I want to get done and how I want that to happen. And just before clicking record here and setting up, I was reflecting to my friend Rachel. Hi, Rachel. Rachel is a phenomenal performer, an actor, and a life coach. And we were chatting, and a little over a year ago, I believe, chronology is not my strong suit, but I think it was about a year ago that I had a little intro session with Rachel to explore her coaching practice and coaching in general. That was really my first dipped my toe in there with her. But one thing that we were exploring, or I was exploring, and she was helping reflect back to me, was I was in this space of overwhelm. I was in this space of overwhelm, but it was a new kind of overwhelm I hadn't experienced before, or I hadn't quite experienced consciously before, where I wasn't overwhelmed and being bogged down. I was overwhelmed with ideas and wanting to create and wanting to find an outlet for all of this energy and whatever it was that was building up inside of me. And I was having sparks of ideas, but I wasn't finding the clarity within them. And she just said to me, and I was saying how, I feel like I'm being, I'm being total scatterbrain, ADHD, all over the place, lack of focus, I'm not following through. I think, I don't know which direction to go. And she said, what if you just follow the sparks? What if you just did that? What if? And I was getting in my head, and I was like, oh, well, I feel like I'll be taking on too much, or I'll get distracted, or I won't be able to blah, blah, blah. Like all of the whatever anxious energy flooding through my brain. And nothing changed immediately within or from that session. But that core idea of, what if I just followed the sparks? Like, what would happen? What would happen if I did that? Just allowing that possibility to exist and start to open myself up to that a little bit more. Well, it worked. Here we are. This podcast and this exact process or journey or goal or everything that I'm now following through on here, those exact ideas weren't present at that time. Podcasts and dreaming up podcasts and getting ideas for them and figuring out the plans for them, this has all been very present for years now. Anyway, going through that mindset shift, I want to call it, belief shift, opening up to that possibility is part of what led me here right now. And I just am continuing to remember that as I dive deeper, as I am less in idea land, as I like to say. Sometimes when I'm sending long audio notes to my friends, I'll just preface with, hey, so I'm living in idea land right now, which means a bunch of different things. It means that, if I never speak of this idea again, good. I'm just in idea land and the next step isn't that for right now. But while I am no longer quite living up in idea land anymore, at least right now, and I'm digging deeper, I'm making plans, I'm sitting here and I'm I'm speaking and recording and planning to edit and release and schedule. And, it's a very different headspace that I'm in now. But having opened up to the possibility of just following all the sparks is what led me here, because some of the sparks that I followed without any unnecessary pressure on myself to have it all figured out just by following an idea or following a spark, it led me to so much more clarity within all of those sparks, because then I could actually see them. I could actually see what ideas were ready to be fleshed out and which sparks I could build a whole fire out of, or which ones I found, I saw, I followed, and they fizzled out. And that is fine too, because I followed them all. So, wow, I'm getting lost in my head. Oh my gosh, I have to go back and listen to what I said. I'm lost. Oh boy. Okay, so I definitely got a little bit lost in my own thoughts, which tends to happen, which is why I like this format of being able to record and then edit myself. But to come back around, I got lost, but I have been found. I was lost, but now I'm found. Amazing grace. Okay, was lost, but now I see. Okay, so hello. Whoa. I'm giving myself a lot of editing to do, but that's okay, because it's a part of the process and I love it, and I want to just want to be here and just get it out and let it out and have it be what it'll be. In the spirit of allowing myself to follow the sparks and not worry so much about what was next, or what they mean, or what they might become, or what it would entail, or all of the things that do come with following an idea and trying to create something. I was getting really caught up in my head and caught up in this overwhelmed feeling of, but what if it's too much? What if it's not right? What if I don't know how to do it? What if I can't? What if I blah, 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 blah? What if it doesn't feel like I want it to feel? What if, there's all of the other what ifs. But the what if that I decided to follow was the what if I just follow the sparks wherever they lead me and go from there. And that was the thing that was keeping me stuck, was I wasn't allowing myself to take any step forward towards any idea. And so I was just being flooded with more, and I was just feeling overwhelmed by the fact that I wasn't getting things done, because I wasn't doing anything, because I wasn't following the ideas. And once I started following them, I found more clarity within them, and some of them got created, like this one, here we are. And some of them didn't, and some of them will live in my notes app forever. And some of them are in an untitled Google document that I've yet to file. And some of them might come up again in 3 months. Who knows? And allowing myself to just have that mental freedom is really what has allowed me to tackle the fear that comes with doing something like this, doing something new, adding in a big project, adding in a big project to my very full and wonderful life, and allowing myself the grace for when I need to pivot, when I need to adjust the process, and also being clear and honest with myself and building discipline and setting expectations for myself that are rooted in how I want to feel and how I want to show up and how I can best receive the ideas, follow through with them to whatever degree that might mean, not pushing myself too far, and just one step at a time. Wow. thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. I can't say it enough. I can't, and I won't, and I'll keep saying it. I'm so grateful to anyone out there that is listening. I really, it's amazing to be here. It's incredible to share this space, and I am really, if you can't tell, fully showing up in process and allowing that to be true, and allowing the process to unfold and trusting the process as it unfolds, and trusting that it always will, and we're always moving, and we're always growing, and we're always learning, and that I can continue to do that, and I don't have to show up perfect, and I don't have to show up with all the isn't everything figured out, and isn't that the secret to life? So what else are we doing? Okay. So thank you. That was really fresh on my mind because that just happened before I was recording. I was just talking with Rachel, and I also just want to tell a little quick story tidbit. Take it or leave it. This morning, I went to an audition. I am an auditioning actor here in New York City, proud member of Actors Equity Association. Woohoo! I'm an auditioning actor, and this is the busy season, January through March. Busy season for theater auditions in New York City. Every regional theater from around the country comes to New York during these months to hold their auditions for their summer seasons, mostly summer. And so it's really busy. There's multiple auditions every day usually, and it's a lot, and it has been a little bit overwhelming, but I've been chugging along. And then last week, I got the flu. And holy crap, did that suck. If anyone has gotten the 2025 flu, oh, I feel you. I am right there with you. Oh my gosh, that was awful. It was so bad. I actually don't know if I've gotten the flu before, at least not as an adult that I can remember. Oh, it was rough. Okay, so last week, I had the flu, and so I was totally knocked out. I went to an audition on Monday before I knew I was sick. I wasn't fully sick, right? But I was feeling a little extra drained. I was feeling just a little extra tired, but I got up early and I went to the audition. So the factors added up for how I was feeling, you know? The next morning, I felt like absolute shit, and so I checked my temperature right away in the morning, and I had a fever. Oh my gosh. And I texted all my gigs. I'm a nanny for a couple different families, and so I texted all the families, all of them too, and I ended up pretty much just sleeping for a whole week. I mean, at least 4 days. It was bad. It was bad. I was sick. It was awful. I'm not going to complain about being sick anymore, but it was just, I was knocked out. It was rough. And I got nothing done. I didn't go to any auditions, of course. I ended up having to cancel all my jobs that whole week, which was heartbreaking. And it was an off week, that's for sure. So that was last week. And I had only done the one audition last Monday before I got sick. So today is Monday again, and I went to an audition, my first one back after being sick. I was grateful I had gotten an appointment online, so I didn't have to wake up extra early to go sign up. It's like a whole thing if you're an auditioning actor. You know the drill. And anyway, I showed up today, and I've been feeling good. Friday, I started to see the light again. Saturday, I was really back to baseline, feeling good, not sick anymore. Sunday was just okay, finally, I'm alive again. I'm ready to go. And so Monday, I was like, yes, okay, I'm going to hit the ground running. I have an appointment. I'm going to plan for it. I'm going to do it. It's going to be great. And it was bad. Okay. I had a bad audition this morning, and it was bad for certain reasons, and some of them matter and some of them don't, and some of them are actually bad and some of them aren't. But for all intents and purposes, I'm calling today a bad audition. There was nothing wrong with what I did. Today, I tried out a new song. So that was number one variable. And it's my first time back after being sick, and not just being sick, but being knocked out and like not present to any of life at all for a whole week, showing back up. And my appointment was at 9 a.m. I regretted making it that early, but it was what it was. It was hard. It was really hard. And it just, it happened. I am actually, I'm calling it bad, but it doesn't matter. And I don't need to be using that word, but like, whatever. I liked my presence. So that's good. Woohoo! I learned so much about how to prepare for this new song and how to communicate with the accompanist for this new song. I didn't do well with that today because I'd never done it before. And now I know. Now I have a few more answers to questions I didn't even know to ask. And so that's great. But I also could barely sing. And I was like, oh, this new song is right in my range. Like, it's got a good note at the end, but it's not too high. And like, I can blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't there. It didn't happen. It was fine. It was fine. And it was bad. And all of this is to say that we are constantly in process, even doing something that we've done a million times, besides it being a new song. Going to these auditions, I have done hundreds and hundreds of times. And today, it just wasn't it. It just wasn't the one. And it's okay, because I was trying a lot of new things. And so the goal there was to really take stock and learn how the song felt, what I wanted to do, and feel it in the room and feel it in my voice. And, there's a lot of variables at play. And anyway, I just wanted to share this story to say, it's okay to have a bad audition, especially if you've been sick for a week. It's definitely okay if your voice isn't 100% there. It's fine. And it's okay to try a new song and like fall on your ass a little bit. Try something new, feel it out, and just learn from it. Could I have done more prep to avoid some of the mistakes? Absolutely. But part of learning that and learning what I can do next time and learning how I can prepare more was my willingness to just go for it. When I tell you, I put the sheet music in my binder in the hallway of Pearl Studios this morning. I was down to the wire, and I was standing in line, and I was like, well, I could just do this other song instead. And I was like, no, let me just do it. I planned to do it. I prepped enough for what I wanted to bring into that room. The biggest thing was that my voice just wasn't there. And it was way too fast. That's another thing. That's the big specific that I learned to talk to the accompanist is it was way too fast, and that was completely my fault. So now I know. But anyway, I just wanted to share this because it's okay to have a bad audition. It's okay. It's okay. Especially right now with things being so busy. It's big audition season, doing so many. They're not all going to be perfect. And to just be willing to show up in process and learn along the way. That's what it's all about. Okay, there's my little tangent tidbit Monday moment. And now we are going to get into some of these juicy topics. I'm going to just pause this and regroup. Yay! Whew. Okay, so the first thing I want to start with is just a few submissions that I got in a question box that I posted on my story a few days ago. And the question that I put was, what is a belief that you used to have that no longer fits? And just to give a little bit of round on why I love this question, why I wanted to put it out there, and I'll probably put it out there again. So if you didn't submit now. Submit, do it. Yay, find my story or just send me a message. Why I really love this question and wanted to see if anyone was gonna pop in and share was because a big part of my journey over the last year within especially coaching, and I mentioned Rachel before, and I actually ended up doing a 6-month coaching container with another coach. Her name is Lana. She's incredible. I'm going to plug all of her stuff real quick. So Modern Psychedelics podcast, Lana Pribic on Instagram. She has a beautiful podcast that I will link in the description of this. I learned and grew so much through coaching, and one of the biggest things for me, big discovery moment, one of those times where you just unlock something and then the clarity just floods in. I don't know if you can relate, but it's powerful. One of the big things that provided that experience for me was diving into beliefs that I have and that I had, and whether or not they serve me now. And there were a lot of things that came up for me that I didn't even realize I was living by. I didn't consciously think day to day, I am operating under the belief that fill in the blank. But there were a lot of things that could fill in the blank that I was living by just by default and just by habit and just by that having been the belief that I formed throughout my life because of home or family or religion or school or whatever, wherever it might have come from. I had to really unlock what it was that was driving me and decide and realize if it was working or not. And if it wasn't working, then I had to figure out what I wanted to put in its place. And I wanted to shed some of these limiting beliefs and add in more empowering ones and more aligned beliefs that can actually continue to serve me now through my life. So I asked you, what is a belief that you used to have that no longer fits? And I got a few fun responses. Fun, I don't know if fun's the right word. So one of them, that everything has to be complicated. It really, really does not have to be complicated. I love this. And I love this because it's framed perfectly as like the old belief and the new belief. It is that simple. The old belief is that everything has to be complicated. The new belief is that it really, really does not have to be complicated. And sometimes it is that simple of a shift of like, oh my gosh, I'm believing that it's complicated. Okay, what if I believe it doesn't have to be complicated? And you just open up your mind. Similarly to what I was talking about before with what if I just follow the sparks? I don't necessarily have to know exactly how that's going to play out or what it's going to look like or what it's going to feel like or blah, blah, blah. I don't have to know any of that, but just opening up to the possibility can allow me to actually discover what that is and all of those blanks that I want to fill in. What does it look like? What does it feel like? What'll it be like? All of that actually just comes. I don't have to know that. I don't. There's no way you can know until you're actually living that way and you can start to discover it. So yeah, and I totally agree with this belief. And having had it before, I think that we have a tendency as humans, and maybe certain types of humans, I don't know, maybe prone to anxiety or overthinking or insecurity or whatever. We have a tendency to make things more complicated than they are, and especially more complicated than they have to be, because nothing has to be more complicated than it is. That feels actually hard to believe because it's almost too simple, but it's true. Nothing has to be more complicated than it is. Some things are really complicated, and some things just aren't. Some things are as simple as, when I drink enough water and I exercise throughout the week, I feel so much better. I really do. And it's not that complicated. And I can make it complicated by convincing myself that I have to do a certain type of exercise and a certain amount and a certain this and a this and a this, and put all these constraints and all these expectations and all of this, whatever. I can make it as complicated as I want, but it's not that complicated at the core of it. And that's like, it's such a basic thing of exercise, hydration, nutrition, rest. We are simple beings in that way. We have a lot going on in here. We have a lot going on in here. We have a lot going on all the time. But if the belief is that everything really does not have to be so complicated, then okay, then let the simple things be simple. If I just want to try and drink enough water and get in my exercise for the week, if that's the goal, then that's pretty simple. And that can look a million different ways, and I can allow it to just be as simple as it is. And this example of like exercises, I just need to acknowledge it came up for me because I'm in the garages where I work out, where Ryan and I work out, and so I'm staring at all of our workout equipment as I'm speaking. So I also haven't worked out in a week since I've been sick, so today we're getting back to it. So anyway, yes, if the belief is that everything doesn't have to be so complicated, then if it's simple, let it be simple. Let it be easy. Oh my gosh, that is such a big journey I am still going on, and really started to go on deeply throughout coaching, was this idea of just let it be easy, especially if it is easy. Oh my God, let it be easy. There's enough that is hard. There's enough that is complicated. Don't make it complicated or hard if it's not. If it's simple and easy, then let it be simple and easy. It's okay. It can be. You're allowed to do something that's easy. Hell, if it's easy for you, do it. Like, okay, great. Okay, I'm going to move on from that one. I love it. Thank you for that submission. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay. The next one I got that I want to dive into is, okay, so it's two parts. So people pleasing and family has to be blood related. Okay, so these are two beliefs that this person used to have, that no longer fit. So people pleasing, this is a big one, and I don't dare diving all the way in right now because I think this could be a big conversation. And it's so important though, I guess, to frame this as a belief. If the belief is that we have to please other people, if that's the belief inherent to this habit of people pleasing, if the belief is that maybe that's where our value comes from, or that's where our worth comes from, or if that's where our value comes from, by pleasing other people, then we're gonna lose ourselves. I've been there. I've done it. I've been lost. Amazing grace. Okay. I have so been there. I definitely want to bookmark this for a longer episode or a longer conversation, because for me, this ties a lot into masking as an ADHD and autistic individual who was diagnosed at the age of 22 or 23. I don't know. Chronology, again, not my strong suit. I was diagnosed in my 20s and I was masking my whole life up until that point, pretty much, at least through adolescence. It's a whole, again, longer conversation, but people pleasing to me really does tie into masking because it's this effort to be or act a certain way simply for the sake of pleasing other people. And what is true, I think, is that it never really works. It can work in a certain moment. It can work in a certain setting. You know, if you're set out with this people-pleasing tendency to cater to the needs of others or do what you think is expected, you might get it right. You might do that. You might please them. You might do what you think is expected, and that might be what is expected from this other person, right? But you might not. And you have more to lose by not being true to yourself and not being true to what you need in that moment. You have more to lose than if you are true to yourself and you accidentally upset someone else or you accidentally misinterpret what they wanted from you. If you're just true to yourself in that moment, you can try again. You can pivot. You can be there, be present, be honest with yourself and the other person. And you can ultimately both come out pleased. People pleasing. Please yourself. Oh, I don't know how that sounds, but yeah, people pleasing and masking, definitely big conversation. Thank you for sending that in, and I know we messaged and you want to talk more about that, and we definitely will, so yay. Okay, and then the other part of that one, family has to be blood related. This is a big one, and it's really important to identify for yourself what family really means and why it's important. This is a belief that I really hold, that family is such a specific word that we all have completely different meanings for, really, truly, intrinsically, but we think it means one thing, or we think that we all think it means this one thing. There is an agreed definition. Family is one of those words that I really believe we all have a very deep understanding of what it means, or at least what we want it to mean, what we hope that it means. And that real meaning has nothing to do with your bloodline, who your parents are, who you're born after or next to or with, or any of that. I think that definition of family being blood related has its own meaning, because there are these people in our lives, our blood-related family. They are people that we are tied to in this life no matter what. You will always be connected to these people in some way. But that definition of family doesn't have to be the end-all be-all for what you believe family to mean. Because if family to you means people that are there for you, that you can trust, that you can be authentic with, that you can be open with, that you can support and that can support you, if those are the definitions of family, then those people can be anybody. And there is this other side of family where we are tied to people in this life by blood. I believe we're also tied to people's souls, you know? It's interesting, this idea of family has to be blood related, when every family that is blood related started with two people who were not. I mean, maybe they were way back in the day. Or somewhere. But you know what I mean? If you have been fortunate enough to find a partner in this life and to build a family, you're not blood related to your partner. That partner is your family because you have chosen that, and then maybe you create more family, maybe you have children and whatnot. But you know, there always is that choice within every family that these people are choosing each other. And that's what's important, because we can choose the people that support us, that trust us, that we trust, that we can support, and anything that goes within that for you, that can be what family means. And you get to define that. And every type of relationship with other people, or any type of word that is involved with relationships with other people, the only people that get to decide what that word means are the people involved. So if you are calling people your family that are or are not blood related, you decide what that means, and you build that relationship with that other person, with those other people, based on what that means to you. Oh, I love this. I love this. I'm gonna keep going, because I could just go on forever about all of these. They're so good, so juicy. Oh my goodness. Oh, family. Hello to my blood family and my chosen family. I love you all. You know who you are. And this next one, and the last one for now of this section. Okay, again, the question: a belief you used to have that no longer fits. So much, and I remember this was in all caps, so much of my conservative Catholic upbringing, OMG. I feel you, girl. I feel you, okay? I do. I really do. Wow. And to pivot from family to religion, they're very closely tied for me. My family, I grew up very religious, and my parents are still very religious. My siblings and I'm one of 5. We've all had our own journeys within and around all of that. But I was raised Catholic as well, so I get ya, girl. I get ya. And I am not using names in this section, but I remember who each of you are that submitted this. So, but yeah, I have been on a journey with my religious beliefs. Okay, so talk about belief system work. Religious beliefs, especially if you are someone that was raised with them, are very strong and they're very deep. And there are a lot that work for me and a lot that don't. And that has been and still is a journey to learn and discover, you know, why. Not just the belief isn't working or doesn't serve me or doesn't feel aligned or whatever, but why? What is it? What is the belief driving me towards? What is the belief that I'm operating under creating in my life? What actions am I taking because I am holding this belief? And is that aligned? Are those actions aligned with who I want to be and how I want to show up? So this was a big one for me. Now, this person, hello girl, didn't put any specific beliefs within this. So who knows if you feel like it's a big blanket of like none of it's working at all and never blah blah blah. I get that, and I get you, and I hear you. One thing that really served me well when I was doing a lot of this belief work actively in session with my coach was I personally had been placing a lot of judgment on these old beliefs. that I had held, specifically some from my Catholic upbringing. Now, some of the beliefs that I was operating under are just textbook what you believe if you're Catholic, right? Fill in the blank, whatever applies to you. Some of them was my interpretation. That's what all of this is at the end of the day too, right? But I had been placing a lot of judgment on myself and the belief itself as like being wrong, and me being wrong for having believed it. And that was not serving me. That belief, that these beliefs were wrong and that I was wrong, because I knew it wasn't, at the point I was at, I knew I didn't want to believe that. That wasn't what I wanted to choose to believe. And I'm not going to get super specific because I get too in my head, but whatever it might have been, I was judging myself not only for having had that belief, but I was also judging the belief based on how it showed up for me and how it led me through life. Now, every belief is going to show up for every person completely differently, because that person is going to take different actions. They're going to have different circumstances to make different choices within. And so the belief itself, whether you agree or disagree or believe that it's right or believe that it's wrong, for me, it wasn't helping me to place that judgment on that belief, because then I was judging anyone in my life who I thought could believe that, and I was judging myself for having ever believed that. And that just wasn't a place that I could shift from, that I could pivot from. I had to really get honest and clear with myself about why these beliefs weren't working. And it was because of how I was using them. And it was because of how I was allowing whatever came with it for me, which was probably certainly some beautiful cocktail of shame, guilt, judgment, unworthiness, on and on and on. That was at the core of some of these beliefs for me. So it wasn't always just about the baseline belief, but it was what it was giving me. And a lot for me, I'm of course only speaking for myself, especially when it comes to beliefs and religion and all of this. None of this is copy and paste anyone else's life, unless it is. For me, so much of the beliefs that were running my life, specifically from Catholicism, were rooted in a sense of shame, a sense of guilt, a sense of not feeling worthy or complete, or like I could ever really fit in. Now, that, depending on what you believe, that is not necessarily what the Catholic Church is teaching. Okay, right? That's not what it teaches my mom. That's not what it teaches my aunt, who's a priest. Go you, Rosemary. That's not what it teaches everyone. The same beliefs, maybe. But that's what I got from it, because that's where I was at when I was forming these beliefs, and when I was discovering or trying to discover who I was and what I wanted and how I felt. I was also absorbing these beliefs of, I'll give one specific, the belief of being born into original sin, right? If you're Catholic, no explanation needed. If you're not, you probably know what that means. Anyway, the belief of being born into original sin. I internalized that belief as I am inherently broken. And that doesn't mean to everyone that you can't be fixed, or that you can't be whole. But for me, that's how it showed up. And that's where so much of this unworthiness and insecurity and just feeling broken and confused and all of this, of course I was feeling that way. I had internalized this belief that that was true. And because of this teaching of being born into original sin, I decided that that was what that meant for me, because that's how I felt. You know, it was one of those things where it's like, that's actually, it makes sense that I believed that, because I felt that way and I used that belief to confirm what I felt, even if it wasn't helping me. Even if I felt awful. Catholics believing that you're born into original sin, that doesn't, not to everybody at least, like that doesn't mean that you're inherently broken and you can never be fixed. No, because then there are other beliefs that you are baptized and you're cleansed of that sin, or if you're living in sin, you can confess and be forgiven. And I, at least to a degree, I wasn't making the connection, or I wasn't, and this is all so subconscious, okay? This is conscious now because I processed through what was going on for me, what was working, what wasn't. I wasn't living my life being like, I believe that I'm inherently broken and I can never be fixed because I was taught blah, 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 blah. That's not the conscious thought pattern. It was so subconscious. Anyway, it doesn't mean that to everyone, because there's all of these other things that you can believe around it, and all these other ways that you can show up and you can make choices and you can take action and you can live your life in accordance with these beliefs that you hold. And if they work, they work, you know? So, oh my gosh. If you can't tell, I've processed a lot of this, and religion is a complicated, it is complicated. Some things are complicated. Not everything has to be complicated, but some things are complicated. Religion can be really complicated. And I think as someone who was raised with religious beliefs, a lot of which I do not hold anymore and have reworked to serve me better, I can really relate to this sense of wanting to believe. I wanted to believe that I wasn't broken. Really wanted to believe that. But I was believing that I was. That belief really showed up for me a lot. And it wasn't until I could really identify where that came from and why I believed it. Identifying that belief, connecting it to, being Catholic, being taught that we're born into original sin, making that connection, that might not even be exactly what happened to me, exactly how that belief was formed. You know, who is to say? Not me, because I don't remember. But being able to make that connection, being able to use the context in which I was raised, in which I did form beliefs about myself and about the world, connecting it within that context, using that example to say, I was taught this thing. And I believe that. And I believe I'm broken. Realizing that I had been operating under this belief was it was mind blowing, because the second I could find the understanding for myself of how this could be possible, I had gone through so many years, through my autism diagnosis and beyond. So much of that process for me was what am I doing? How am I moving through the world? What am I seeing? What am I feeling? What am I choosing to do? What am I doing? What does it mean? Where am I going? I just was so confused. I was so confused. So confused. And so making the connection to say, this makes sense. Like, okay, I identified this sense that I feel broken, like whatever that means, and being able to clearly acknowledge where that came from, why I felt that way. That acknowledgement is then what allowed me to go, oh, I can choose to believe something else. I can choose to believe that I'm not broken, because, okay, if that might have been where it came from, then maybe it's not true. Okay, I was believing it to be true, but is it true? I don't want it to be true. I don't want to feel broken. I don't want to believe that I am broken. So, okay, it's a belief. It's a belief that I have been living with. And so what if I believe that I'm not broken? What if I believe that I am worthy? What if I believe that I am whole? What if I believe that everything that I am and everything that I've gone through is exactly perfect and not broken and not wrong? And it just, again, opening up to the what if. There's so many anxious what ifs, and there's so many beautiful what ifs of, what if I'm not broken? Okay. So yeah, identifying it is really a big step in unlocking the shift that you can make and learning that you can choose what you believe. I mean, you can. That's what we do. We do that as humans. Sometimes we're given the beliefs through family, through religion, and sometimes we have to just decide what we believe. So there you go. What do you believe? What do you believe in? What don't you believe in anymore? Woo! Oh my gosh, you guys. This is so fun. Oh, wow. Thank you for these submissions. Okay, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to dive into another big topic. And then we'll say goodbye just for today. Oh my goodness. Okay, be right back. Hey, hi. I'm back from my little break. And I was just reflecting on the lyrics to the song that I sang this morning in my audition, the new one I was talking about. And I just wanted to share them because it's one of those things where I've had this song on a playlist called Songs from Eddie that I did this coaching like a year ago. And I got a bunch of new options for new songs, and then I never worked on any of them. And it's fine because timing is always working out. And this song, I remember the first time I listened to it, and I listened to it again yesterday, and I was like, I think this song was written for me. Like, me? Like, oh my God. So anyway, the lyrics and just like the cut that I did this morning is the end of the song. Okay, the song is called Getting There. It's from In Transit, the musical, Broadway's first a cappella musical. I wish I saw it live. Margot Seibert is the lead on the recording, and she is wonderful. Okay, so the lyrics go, so this is what it feels like to be happy in the moment. To realize it's okay. We all get stuck along the way. Oh my gosh. And then it goes, and there's a strange kind of family, a strange kind of harmony you can feel if you're open and aware. So this is what it feels like to be here and happy in the moment and getting there. Like, okay, sorry to just recite song lyrics at you, but it's just so good and juicy, and I was just thinking about it as I took a little bathroom break. Oh, it really hits home. If that hits home for you too, let me know, because it's just the moment of realizing, like, so this is what it feels like to be happy for a moment. Like, Okay, enough of that. But yay. I'm going to dive into this beautiful topic submission from Paige. Thank you, Paige. This is the first message I got once I started asking people. So thank you. And I'm so excited to dive in. Okay, so Paige, I hope you don't mind me using your first name. Hello. I know that you won't. Hi. Hello. Okay, Paige said, I believe, wow. What a segue. I didn't even plan that. Okay. I believe in a world where creative professionals are supported holistically, not just as performers, but as full spectrum human beings with thriving lives outside of their craft. How can we create and normalize more systems that allow artists to flourish financially, emotionally, and creatively? Paige. Thank you for sending this in. I'm going to read your belief again. I believe in a world where creative professionals are supported holistically, not just as performers, but as full spectrum human beings with thriving lives outside of their craft. I believe that too. Thank you for putting that into those incredible words. There is such a misunderstanding of what it can mean to live a creative life. I don't want to say that it's a misunderstanding of what it is, because I actually think it's very accurate of what it can be, but also it's not everything that it can be. Okay, we're opening up to possibilities here, right? That's such a big theme of all of this, and everything for me is just opening up to what is possible and understanding that what we know might not be the whole picture. It's probably not. It usually isn't. How can we create and normalize more systems that allow artists to flourish financially, emotionally, and creatively? I was reflecting a lot about this, and I noticed I don't really have as many thoughts about specifically like creating systems, but I do have a lot of thoughts about how we can build the foundation for those systems to work. If we can build them, or if someone else can figure out what they are. Because I really believe that such a big part of this artist struggle, if you will, and this notion that a creative life is messy or confusing or improbable or any more that you might be able to put there. When it comes to living a creative life and having a creative profession, there's definitely lines that can be drawn there, but for the sake of this conversation, I think it can be really useful to like blur the lines a little bit and then decide which is which and where that distinction is. And I think it's a really, really personal thing. I think a big thing that we can continue to do and do more of and encourage more of is investing in ourselves as creatives and allowing ourselves to be as connected to our community, to our creative expression of whatever flavor it might be, and to invest in what could be possible if we are, for one, especially in the industry that we're in, theater, performing, that we are in this together. We are not at competition with one another. If our goal is to like have a job, to get a certain job within a creative profession, then there is a level of competition to fill the position. But I think to do the thing, to actually show up and live that life and be that creative person, that's the most abundant energy that exists. No one doing their creative thing could ever take away from your ability to do yours. Because like, I don't know about you, but I have never, ever been depleted or creatively drained from like witnessing magic, whether it's in a performance. Like, I'll just be specific and think about live theater. Seeing beautiful live theater is why I want to do it, is why I'm pursuing this career, because I watched it and I'm inspired by it. And like, that gives me the energy to do it and want to do it. The fact that other people are doing it and I get to see it is why I get to do it in the first place. It's why I even know what it is and that it's possible. And so this idea that if we are in competition with one another as creatives, then we're setting ourselves up to fail, because then we can't get that inspiration from one another. So that's on the internal side. Allowing ourselves to flourish, I think, has a lot to do with like letting others in. For me, that is true. I know this is true for you, Paige, also, but for you, the greater you, whoever you are, that could be true for you too. If you're a creative that struggles with jealousy or insecurity or feeling like, there's this give and take between you and other people and like they could take it from you or what, like if that's you, I'm going to ask you, what would happen? What would happen if you got curious and more inspired, at least attempted to be more inspired by that feeling, being affected by this other person? Because I think like that's what's there at the core. Like, if you're jealous of another person, like you're being affected by that other person. What would happen if instead of jealousy, you could try to frame it as inspiration, right? Like, now that I'm saying that, like, it feels cliche or it feels lofty or it feels like just change the narrative and then you'll be fine, which like is true. But sometimes I have fallen into this trap, and I've witnessed other people fall into this trap of trying to cut off the effect from that other person because you're jealous, because if I get jealous, then the solution is to not be affected by that other person. And I don't think that is really what can work. It's not what worked for me, because I want to be affected. I am affected by this other person. That's what I have not been able to shut off. In all my years of masking and pretending that I don't have feelings and I don't know things, I've shut off a lot of those parts of myself, or I had in the past. But what I can't shut off, because what is just not possible, it's not a fundamental part of who I am, is the ability to not be affected by another person. I'm always affected by another person. And so what I would love to get from that is inspiration, is energy for more creation, So, okay, yes. So I'm going to wrap that one up. That's an internal flourish, an internal investigation and investment into yourself to allow yourself to flourish, to be creatively fulfilled with other people. Like, that's, for me, it's such a big part of it. It's why we're here together. And then some of it also goes back to getting curious about what we're believing. So, everything I've already said about these beliefs and investigating what they are to us, what they mean, why they're here, getting really curious about our beliefs about this industry. I'll say theater, in New York City or just union theater around the country, right? What beliefs do we have about it? Do we believe that there are a limited amount of jobs? Okay, like there's a limited amount of jobs. Do we believe that we are in competition with one another while we're auditioning? Do we believe that? Or do we believe that the right person will always get the job? And if you're the right person, you'll get the job. If the job is right for you. Do we believe that that's true? Or do we believe that it's like this competition and this effort and this one-upmanship and all of that? I worked with a career coach, shout out Biz of Show, shouting out everyone here, a career coach a few years back, and I had to tackle a big belief. I was tackling a big belief that I felt like this career, this choice that I had made to pursue a career in theater, it's such a crazy thing to do. I was believing that this choice I had made could not take up less than 110% of my time, my energy, my attention, or else it would all disappear. It would all fall out from under me. I used to say to my last coach, hire people to help you guys. It's great. It's great. I've gotten so much. My last coach, Lana, I remember saying to her once, like, I'm scared, when's the other shoe gonna drop kind of feeling. I'm scared it's all gonna slip out from under me. And I remember her being like, what? Like, what is gonna slip out from under you? Like, what are you afraid of losing, actually? When's the other shoe gonna drop? What is that shoe? And I was like, I don't know. And then I had a meltdown and I realized, this is the feeling. I was scared that I would just lose all control. And I did. And then I was like, okay, I guess this is fine because now I'm still here. But anyway, this idea that this career had to be everything and more to me was so real. It was so real that I wasn't allowing space for any real life. I wasn't allowing space to really experience other parts of my life. It was a very perfectionist, all or nothing mindset where, it was either I was giving this my complete all or I was giving it nothing. And just that, really tackling that, I was like, okay, so that can't be true. Like, it just can't be true because I'm burning out. And it's not working either. Doing this isn't reaping the benefits that I so desire. So something's got to change. And she always reiterated something I'd heard before. Your life outside of being an actor makes you a better actor. I had teachers tell me that. I had people, I had heard coaches and successful actors and these people. That's certainly a thing a lot of people say. But it wasn't until I was tackling this belief of, oh my gosh, my life outside acting makes me a better actor. And I'm realizing I'm not having a life outside of it. I have a life outside of it because I wasn't actually booking gigs. I wasn't doing that full time, but I wasn't experiencing it and I wasn't allowing that space to be there and I wasn't allowing it to inform my life as an actor because I wasn't experiencing it. There was just this big disconnect. And a big thing that changed for me was being able to reconnect to my own experience completely outside of acting, completely outside of even processing this part of my career, but being able to fully reconnect to my life on a deeper level, feel more deeply again and experience things more fully is when I really, really started to realize I could bring that into my work and it was working. It was informing my work as an actor. Within thinking about this question, how can we build and normalize systems that allow artists to flourish financially, emotionally, creatively? So I think I've touched a lot on the emotional and the creative flourishing side because for me, I was in the way. The system that's in place makes it difficult, for sure. The things I was taught in school and just through different experiences pursuing this, it makes it hard to really flourish emotionally and creatively, because there is a lot to do. There are a lot of hoops to jump through. There are a lot of logistics to manage and deal with and understand. But at the core of it, I was in the way. I know for certain now that I was in the way of myself feeling more creatively fulfilled, because the systems around me haven't changed that much, but I so have. Thank God. I really feel so much more emotionally and creatively fulfilled as an artist, simply because I am doing all of this other work on myself within therapy and coaching, and also exploring new creative endeavors like this here podcast, because there are less logistics to understand and deal with. There's a lot of logistics to like doing this, and that is part of what held me back. But it's not like pursuing an acting career. You don't have to go audition and sign up and get in line and wait in the room and have your name called and then sing for someone at 9 a.m. and you haven't sung for a week and it doesn't sound good and they aren't gonna give you this job right now probably, and that's a really hard part of pursuing this career, is that there is this process to audition, to meet people, to try and make these connections within the industry, to show up in that way and be a trusted player in this industry. So to find other creative avenues, that's been really key for me in the past couple years. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I'm here, is to allow myself to follow the spark and to have this creative expression and to have a tiny piece of that inside of me be a little more fulfilled. Now, I think in terms of more financial flourishing for artists and to get more into system talk, those go hand in hand. It all goes together. But I think that some of the systems in place are more preventing the financial flourishing, because even when you make it, even when you have the top job, let's say you're on Broadway, there's a minimum payment requirement within the union, and there is a range of salary expectations, and none of them are earth-shatteringly, life-changingly incredible to where now you're financially stable as an artist. That isn't the system in place, nor do I believe that's the goal, because I just don't know how possible that is, because I don't know how much that needs to be the goal. I think part of building a new approach to this career, to this creative life, is accepting that it's not the most financially viable career option. It's not. Could it be one day? Maybe. And is it in some ways to a certain degree? Like, if you're famous and there is financial success to be found, but it's not the given, and it's not the common experience as far as I have seen. For that, the financial success aspect to come from that job alone or that type of job alone, right? And I think allowing ourselves, especially as young creatives, to flourish more is maybe, at least right now, accepting that financial flourishment, that financial gain or milestone or whatever it is that you're reaching for, maybe it's not coming from this thing. Maybe it will, maybe it can, but maybe it's not. And so to accept that as the reality, if you want to, that means we can maybe redefine a little bit about what it means to have a successful and flourishing creative life and creative career. And if we want to call it a creative career, that does tie the finances to it, at least in my head. But maybe we can redefine what that means and how that happens and what it looks like. And, this comes in the forms of, if you have ever met a working actor in New York City or LA or wherever, they probably have multiple jobs, and they probably mostly have multiple jobs. And that sucks a lot of the time. I'm not saying that this is what should be normal, but it is normal. And maybe we can redefine how we show up for that and what we are willing to work for in these different avenues. So I have been exploring this so much in my own life, in having these feelings of, okay, I'm not holding out for this career to give me this level of financial gain. I'm not. So what am I gonna do for that? I'm growing up, I'm adulting, I'm trying my darndest. So I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? And for me, it's looked like a number of different things. It's looked like trying my hand at balancing a 9-to-5 a 9-to-5 desk job. It's looked like me trying to balance that with auditioning and pursuing theater. That didn't work. Auditions are also 9-to-5. That did not work. For me, I know people balance it, and certain types of jobs, maybe you can audition in the middle of the day or take a day off. People work full time and audition. People do it. I could not. It's looked like that. It's looked like bars and restaurants, the cliche of all cliches, waiting tables, tending bar. I'm a working actor in New York City, right? Now I nanny and babysit. And while I'm also not, now I'm on track for financial success with my 2 part-time babysitting job. That's not the goal there either. But what I'm getting at is this constant, for me, has been pretty constant redefinition of what it might mean to make money from other things and continue to pursue theater. And eventually, I will make more from theater. I joined the union. A big catalyst of that is just knowing there is a baseline pay. There are rules and regulations in place for working conditions, working environments, wages, what have you. I was like, oh, great. So I am not gonna spend my time pursuing theater jobs that will never pay me enough. I'm not going to pursue those anymore. That was a big catalyst of joining the union. Okay, this means I'm no longer considering any of these non-union gigs, any of these just doing it for fun, whatever. That's not happening anymore. It's all still just for fun. That's a big one to remember. This is all just still for fun. I am pursuing theater because it's my favorite thing in the world. It's My favorite thing. It's my favorite thing to do. Why else am I doing it? So anyway, it's all still just for fun. But I was tackling this navigation of what am I working towards here as a career? Okay, ultimately, yes, I want to have a different level of financial stability from this career, from these jobs, because then I don't have to work the other three all the time as well, right? Like that'd just be too much. And it was too much doing lower paid gigs or no paid gigs. Then I was adding that on and working just as much, if not more, to just continue to be at a baseline. Now the idea for me is, okay, I'm setting myself up to be in a position where I'm stable, I'm working towards growing more, and it'll shift. And it will shift again. When I get a theater job again, it will shift. And because I've also put myself in a position where I know that I will be able to do that. I'm building the foundation for myself now to feel a sense of security within myself and my workload and routine and earnings and all of that. And then to where the jobs that I am auditioning for within theater will also provide a level of that financial stability as well. And again, this career isn't creating the most financial success ever for most people in it. It's not just like a woo and now you're off and you're making all this money because you're famous and whatever. That happens when it happens, and that's not the majority of working actors. And so anyway, I for myself am building the expectation that this will continue to shift, and that taking stock and taking care of where I am right now and doing work that I need to do and can do right now in order to set up that stability for myself, that is more than fine and okay. It is what I need to be doing so that then I can pivot and put more attention on this career where it matters, where I'm in control. So the wanting to financially flourish as an artist, right now, I'm not in control of that coming from my art. That's fine. But I'm in control of the discipline that I have to get another gig if I need it in any other aspect, babysitting, bartending, to manage my time and my work so that I can also focus and manage my emotional and creative fulfillment that I am in control of. And I am in control of that completely. And that's what I've been able to prove to myself because, again, the systems around me haven't changed that much since I've been inside of it, but I sure as hell have. So I also think a big part of this for me is expanding what it means to live this creative life and to have this creative career, and to know that it doesn't have to always be 110% of my time and energy, because then I'll be left broke and starving and dissatisfied. And if I'm putting all my stock into this one thing, giving me all the things that I need and I want right now, it's not happening. And so expanding what that means and allowing myself to actually receive what I'm getting from all the other areas of my life and find ways that fuel me. There have been jobs that I've had that just drain the life out of me. And I'm doing fine as like a young adult living in New York City, like working at a restaurant, but I don't have any emotional or creative capacity for anything else because I'm so exhausted and drained from this job. That wasn't working. And so I pivoted to find jobs and things to do that can fuel me in the ways that I need them to, whether it's financial or otherwise, and that don't also drain me from the other endeavors that I have, the creative ones, the pursuing this career, this creating this podcast for fun, this, allowing myself to redefine what it can mean to pursue this career, to want what I want out of this career, and to find other things that give me that, that fill my time and fill my cup. And I think that a big part of being a creative professional is being willing to redefine what it means all the time. And as our world changes, as industries change, and even as they don't, as we try and create better systems among ourselves, we can know that there doesn't have to be one way to do this. There doesn't have to be this end-all, be-all, one formula or one extraction from this career that we get to have. This set idea of what it means to live this life, and especially what it means to other people. And I think thinking about creating systems to support artists holistically, or believing in a world where creative professionals are supported holistically, I really believe that we have to start by accepting the fact that these creative lives that we are living are the most unpredictable, because we're creating them as we go. We're learning as we go. The baseline of being able to move forward in a new way is developing that acceptance for these creative careers to be confusing, to be frustrating, to be misunderstood. I think there's a big part of wanting the world to understand what it is and what we're doing and what it's worth and all of those things. And for me, a big attachment that I have to this sense of financial systems in place for artists and paying artists more, that needs to happen. Do not get me wrong. We need better opportunities for people to do creative things and make a living, and we need maybe more support with things like the National Endowment for the Arts, maybe not getting slashed to pieces all the time. It being a part of this society, this greater society that we're building together. We're all here building it together, by the way. That's what we're doing here on Earth. And the arts being a part of that. I think that the value placed on money within that idea is just really hard. It's really hard for the same people who value money for whatever it is they value it for, like where the money goes in this country, in these systems, or to even within this industry, the people that the money goes to versus the people that it doesn't. I mean, there's so many layers to all of it. But I also think as an artist within that, I am willing to be undervalued by someone else because I'm not undervaluing myself anymore. That's okay if someone else doesn't know my worth, because I do. And I do now. And that's been a big journey to get to this place. But with that, I don't want to sound like it's, oh yeah, like they can just pay artists whatever because like I know my worth. No, like it's okay that they don't know my worth because I do. It's not okay that nobody knows and that we're all forgetting our worth because these other people are misunderstanding it, because of the number on the paycheck, or because the job pays $100 a week, then that's what I'm worth. No, that's really sad that that's what people think it's worth, because that's the dollar value assigned to it. But if we know that that's not the value, and it's so much more than that, because it's also more than monetary, so much more. Me doing this work, me wanting to do this job, I get so much more out of it than a paycheck. So much. And if I also get a paycheck, like, oh, that's awesome. That's the goal, right? Because then I get to be paid to do what I love. But it's the idea of, okay, I am okay being misunderstood if I understand myself. If I don't understand myself, I'm very much at risk of being misunderstood and like breaking down over it, because then that's confirming my fear that I'm misunderstood. But if I'm not, if I can be understood by myself and by those that I know understand me and trust me, and if I can feel that, then it's okay if someone else misunderstands me, because it's not about me, you know? And so living this creative life is going to be misunderstood, and that's okay. I mean, I misunderstood it for a while. I misunderstood myself, and I misunderstood what I was doing here, and I misunderstood why I wanted this, why I'm pursuing this career, why it's here. I misunderstood all of that, and I got caught up in all of the things that it could mean. But now I feel a better understanding for myself and why I'm here and what I want. And so I'm okay right now if other people don't understand that, even within this same industry. You know, I am okay redefining my creative life all the time, and that's just what it is right now. And if I can pray to find financial, emotional, and creative fulfillment through that, and through the acceptance that I can get all of those things wherever I get them, I get to define where I search for that and what it means for that to be in line with my creative career. I get to decide that. So, okay, let's go. Let's figure it out, you know? Did I answer your question? No, I didn't, because your question was, how do we create systems? And again, I prefaced at the beginning, I didn't fully have all the thoughts on that, but yeah, I'm definitely on this internal wavelength journey, you know? Okay, just accept and believe and it'll all be fine. No, but truly, I'm at a place where I don't know how the systems need to change. I know that they do, and I know that they can, and I know that there are people smarter than me actually working on that piece of it. I want to know more, and I want to think more about this. I love this question page. Thank you, because it's really important. And now I'm like, wow, okay, this is internal, and okay, what can change? What can change? How can this industry look different? How can people's perception of a creative life look different? How can this, if people are misunderstanding me or misunderstanding us or this or creativity or whatever, if that's being misunderstood and not completely accepted in the way that I feel like it can be or that I'm coming to, what can change? And how can I help change that? And I think part of this conversation, part of me wanting to even share my thoughts, is a part of my version of talking this out, figuring this out, and opening the door to the possibility of, okay, what is possible? And I'm expressing my own internal process of coming to a certain level of acceptance and understanding about this career and this life. And maybe people relate, and maybe if more of us relate and we can talk about it even more, then we can start to go, oh, and here's what we could do with it. Here's what maybe we can change, or maybe just the more we all come together, then maybe it'll get clearer. Maybe the systems will get clearer. Maybe it'll start to make more sense about how we can actually create a system to support these ideas in a different way. Because it's hard, and it's been hard to get to these ideas and to get to this place of acceptance and understanding in myself, because it's not set up for me to just have that easily. I mean, I certainly wasn't. And I just know going through theater programs and acting schools and dealing with this industry, it's hard. And it's up to us to really find that in ourselves. And I think continue to reflect it with one another so that it doesn't have to be so hard for everyone. And it can get easier for us the more that we share it and support each other in it. And I hope it would also make it easier for other people. It's a big goal of mine, is to share my thoughts and my ideas, because I feel really proud of where I've gotten to in my own internal life. And I really believe that sharing these ideas sharing the ideas allows them to be found by people who need to find them, by who I was years ago, searching for whatever it was that I was searching for. Just sharing ideas like this, talk about being affected by another person and being inspired by other people. That comes from other people sharing their ideas. And I love that I have an opportunity to share, because I want to share it all together. And I also just want to really open up and be honest about my struggles and what I learned from them, because I've learned a lot, and I have learned a lot from other people sharing what they learn. So I hope I can do a little bit of the same. And so with that, thank you so much to Paige for this incredible topic. Please share your thoughts below, everyone. If you are also a creative, if you are also an auditioning actor in New York City, hit me up. Share your thoughts. Do you totally disagree with me? Are you like, Claire, literally what? Like, I can't believe you said that. Please tell me. Like, what? Please. Because I am going to be editing this. And I'm going to be like, whoa, I said that? Okay, here we go. But anyway, please share your thoughts on all of this. Wow, I am just so grateful that I even have this space to share and that you're listening. Thank you. And then thank you to everyone who shared some of their old beliefs. And that was really fun to talk about. I hope that this isn't too long-winded. I really want to continue to dig deep. Maybe if this feels too long, I'll have to just pick fewer things each episode, which again, fine for me, more content. But we'll see. Oh my gosh, this is incredible. Thank you. I can't say it enough. I love you. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself. And remember, whatever you are carrying, you don't have to carry it alone. And you can be here and lay it on me. Woo, we did it. Bye.